Hello everyone, so today we're back at a BMW E60 2-litre diesel. Now this car is driving us insane. So you've seen this car in many of my videos actually. So it started off, it came into the guy's workshop with the timing chain had jumped. Then I had a glow plug problem. Now I had wrongly diagnosed that as needing 2 glow plugs, and here it was actually needing the glow plug controller. So I'll show you that when I go into the car where that resides. So that was fixed. Then the next thing, it started to lose power, had back pressure in the exhaust. Let me think, did it have back? I can't remember, but anyway, the guy took the cat off it and the catalytic converter was completely choked. So that was replaced. So everything was going swimmingly well. Then the next thing, it started getting fault. You could hear a hissing, like a turbo hiss underneath the car. Then there was fault codes for the EGR deviation. So the EGR valve was replaced, then it went well. Then the next thing, the DPF became choked. So the DPF has been replaced as well. But this is a never-ending story with this car. So the point about replacing the DPF is that is only a symptom, it's not the cause. So this morning I went back into the car and I can see that we have an EGR deviation code coming up as well. So let me see the car. I'll put the dash on, let's see if it's got any of it. So I'll go in and read the fault codes. So there's no fault codes at the minute. So I'll start the car up, and just to prove that this EGR valve works, I've got my vacuum tool on it, and I'll show you that this test indeed works. So let me see, I'll put that down, I'll start the car back up. Oh dear, put the foot in the clutch. So you can see the car starts back up, fair dandy. So you can see that I've got my vacuum tube going to this new EGR valve. And what I'll do, I'll give you some vacuum and the engine should cut out. You can hear the engine note changing. That's us at 15 inches. And there you go. The car cuts out. So indeed, that EGR valve is working. And it's worked through this control circuit, through this solenoid valve. So when I go into this pipe here, you can feel the vacuum. I could measure it, but I think that's okay. But that test proves also that the passages, I would feel, are not choked up, they're not blocked, because it's allowing the EGR gas to flow back into the intake manifold and try and burn it. So the very fact that the car cut out, EGR gases are flowing. So the problem is when you call a DPF, is it going to return? So the major causes of DPF blocking are an EGR valve, that is the first one. Leaking injectors, they have all been bench checked. These injectors are fine on that. The quality of oil, so it has to be this proper oil, low ash oil, and that's fine on this car. You need the glow plugs to work, and I was saying to you earlier on, I never actually done the job, but there's a control box down there. That's been replaced to get the glow plugs up and running, because you need that to get the heat in. Short runs blocks the EGR, blocks the DPF, and I'll put it in the edit what else it could be, but I'll take you back into the car and I'll let you see the figures, and I think we'll take this a run. Wonder if it'll even produce that. Let's see. Read the fault codes again. Still not even creating any fault. That's the third time I've done that and I've not got any EGR fault code in it. See, let's read data stream. We'll go into general. We'll see what we'll select this page here. We'll hit OK. So that's the rail pressure. That's nothing at the moment. Last generation. Now this is a new DPF on it, so I went into the scan tool and told it, I'll show you that in this launch, that it's had a new DPF refitted. So you can see total remaining mileage 155,000 miles, so the DPF is good for that. But I'm looking for this pressure within the DPF just to let you see this. So deselect these ones. This only allows you to select 24 PIDs. Never seen that before. There we go. Okay, that. So boost control activation. There's the brake lights. Always note if you're communicating with your scan tool, press the brakes. See it says operated, so that's good. Coolant temp, well that's another big one for DPF. You need to make sure that the coolant temp is getting up to, will it be 212 in Fahrenheit or 88 in centigrade. So it's good on this car because I've already checked that. There's the EGR. See, it's trying to activate it at 94% because I've got it unplugged at the moment. It says it can enable regeneration. Exhaust back pressure, there we go, 6 millibar. So that's normal. Well, it has just been replaced. So let's graph that. Exhaust, there it's here. So we'll give it a little. So we'll do it a constant. That's 1.5. So at 1,500 RPM, at 13 millibar. Let's go 2,500, 28 millibar. I think we're on a limit there actually. What I'll do is I'll plug the EGR valve back in and let you see how that affects the figures. I'll just this one out. You can hear the engine note change there now. So that's that back in. I'm sure the percentage goes to about 50%. So there we go, there's the figures there. So go back to, there's just over 2,500, so you can see how that, the opening of the EGR valve reduces the back pressure within the exhaust. So we're currently at, there's there we go, 2,000 RPM, and we've got 6 millibar. Let's see if we can, let's see what the EGR percentage is. Not in that one. Or no, in that one. There we go. EGR controller activation. So we're down at 52%. So that EGR is opening up. Oh man, hate this. Let's see. Read fault codes. So that's the one I was getting earlier on, so it's got a control deviation, but that's simply because probably we unplugged that. So we'll go and we'll clear the fault codes and then we'll read them again. So it says it's clear at the moment. We'll go and take it a run along the best way to do this is along the motorway and see if there's returns or see what our figures are, because I think on a BMW it's meant to do a regen itself every 500 to 600 miles. So I'm obviously not going to do that today, but I just want to see if our pressures start rising. Well, let's see. Let's see. We'll take a datum figure at the moment. So we'll read the data stream. We're going to general. What's this thing? This thing had a stand, man. Exhaust gas back pressure. So say OK for that. So idle, it's reading. Well, there you go. 1, 2, anything to 11. So that'll be due with the EGR opening and shutting. Right. So we'll then take it to 2000 RPM. That's roughly 2000. So we're sitting at anything between 4. That must be the EGR opening and shutting. But what we'll do, we'll graph the EGR. Sorry about this long video. I'm just trying to help myself here by thinking out loud. There we go, we'll go to 2 of them. So there's it. 2000 RPM, see it? We'll graph both of them. So that's exhaust gas pressure at the bottom and EGR at the top. How you get a full screen here. So that's EGR at the top now, and the exhaust back pressure at the bottom. I wish I could get rid of that bottom bit there. So you can see that kind of, as the EGR opens, the exhaust pressure drops. So we've established that. So as soon as you put the foot down, you can see that it goes to 5%, and when it's idling it's roughly 50%. Go back to value again. Maybe that's a bit clearer. I'll put engine. Engine speed in. Let's take it around and we'll see how we got on. Cheers. Right, that's me had a spin for 10 minutes or so, and you can see the EGR is showing 5 and then up to 9 again, so I'm wondering if you can see the back pressure is still good. So I'm wondering if this codes came back again. I don't know, like the looks of the figures on this EGR valve. Come on, man. Read fault codes. There we go. So exhaust gas recirculation control deviation. Do not like that. An exhaust gas recirculation controller position long-term drift. Do not like that either. So I know on some of them you can recalibrate the EGR valve. So let's have a look, see if this can do it. Special function. So it'll be under adjustment. Let's try that one first. Right, so we'll go into 1, see what that says. The EGR adjustment makes it possible to increase or decrease the set mass for the EGR by a certain factor. Caution, contact to previous DDR generated, the adjustment has a multiplication, the neutral value is 0. Let's look at that. So 2, let's perform an EGR adjustment. Fault codes are stored in the fault memory. It is recommended that the fault before carrying out. Right, so we'll need to go back and clear the codes. I think this is DDE7. So we'll go back into that. So at least we'll end that now and get rid of the. So set value of the EGR adjustment is 0 value, so it's already at 0. Let's. So go back. We'll go back again. Read fault codes. So it's still there. We'll clear them. No. Get rid of that indicator. Sorry about that. So ignition back on. Oh dear. You can see it's just the ignition's on and the engine is now off. This is a new gimbal I got. It's an Osmo 3, so I'm not quite used to it yet. So we'll clear these codes. Clear fault codes. Okay. Read fault codes. Out. So we'll go action. It's not actuation test. It's special function. Adjustments. Let's do this one. So we'll go to 2. 0. So I think we'll just reset it to 0. We'll do 2. And then we'll just end it with 3. So we'll switch off the ignition. Oh dear. Let's see. Well, that's ignition switched off. And it says the new power value is permanently saved. So we'll put the ignition back on. So 22. So still at 0. So end that one. We never changed anything, so we'll go back. Go to adaptation. EGR valve. The car may need to match again after doing this. Yes, let's try that. Here's an adaptation. The adaptation describes the position of the end stop, the EGR valve. It says the new values, let's do it OK. So we'll go into this, let's see if it does it. And the next state, the adaptation must be reset up before replace. Oh, well that never happened. This is it, the adaptation of the EGR must be reset before replacing EGR. Follow the procedure if the EGR, switch off the ignition. So we'll do that. So we'll put the ignition on. Put the ignition off, sorry. So that's ignition off. Well, we're now going to replace the EGR valve. Wait until the vehicle assumes sleep mode before switching on the ignition again, so probably better to give this 30 seconds, then switch on the ignition again. All we can do is try, because if we cannot clear that EGR fault code, we are going to block this DPF once again. In fact, to get into sleep mode, I'm probably better to get out of the car. Oh, we'll just try to shut it down, because I've seen it sometimes CAN bus takes ages to go to sleep, so we'll switch on the ignition again. Right, so we'll just start her back up again. Even that sounds a bit stuttery. Let's go back into read fault codes. Look, exhaust gas recirculation control deviation history. And I can guarantee you when I take that a drive, that fault code will come back. Let's clear the fault codes. So we've cleared it and we've read it, so it's okay. We'll read data stream, we'll see what this EGR valve's doing. And all we can, because this has not actually got, has it got a position on it? I can't remember. Oh, it has got a position on it, it's just worked with vacuum. We'll look at this figure here, it doesn't actually tell us. So it's saying it's 47% open. Then it goes to 5, then it goes, then it goes to 94. To me that doesn't look right. In fact, my wife's got exactly the same car. I think I should check it. But she's away to her work today, right enough, but I think I need to check it on that. This is, I don't think that's right. Let's see if the fault code's returned. Back. It's back. I think we need to get some information on this. I think I could drive forever and a day and it'll just keep coming back. In fact, we'll take a little drive. Here we go. A drive through the countryside. So even when we're taking off there, I call it the tipping point. It just like it wants to cut out. Here we go again. I see, there you go. It just wants to cut out. That's not right. The EGR valve is needing adapted somehow. Anyway, this is where I stay. And this is meant to be the last day of the winter. The last day of easy for me to see, meteorological winter. So, but it doesn't help my EGR valve. I'll be back to you soon. Cheers. Right, everybody, I may have a result here. I don't want to call it too early. So, as you've seen in my last video, the last clip, I done that adaptation and I've gave it a run for 10 minutes or so and we seem to be good. So I'm using the Delphi software at the moment, so we'll go into the fault codes. It said no fault code, so that's good. That's a bit of a result at this point. So if we go back into the real-time data, you can see it's still at 94%, it's open, and if I rev it, the EGR valve shuts. Now I've tried to monitor, because it's vacuum, I've tried to monitor it using my vacuum gauge, but you can only see slight movement in it. If you can see any movement in it at all, really. So I'm running it, it's a big long vacuum tube all the way out and underneath the car, so maybe it's just too long to get the total vacuum on this, but you would imagine, well, I'll maybe actually go and do the test down at the sensor, but this is the first time we've actually got this code to clear, so maybe it's behaving itself. But that's always the way it works, an EGR valve. As soon as you accelerate, that should close immediately, and we weren't getting that. And I think you can remember when we looked at the launch scan tool, the thing was bouncing about. The numbers were everywhere. It was 50%, then it was 90%, then it was 5%. So that's saying it's 100% actuated. Maybe I'll try the launch scan tool again, but certainly looks a more, it's a better reading anyway, so let's hope that doesn't come back. I'll just check it again, see if the fault code's returned. See, that's looking good. I'll change my scan tool and get back to you. So you can see that there, it's no, the numbers are no longer bouncing about the place. We're at 100% EGR valve open. The back pressure's at 13, which is acceptable, I would say. But as soon as you press it now, I'm not getting that stumbling anymore. And the thing's taking off, so that adaptation or adjustment or whatever I called it must have done the business. Graph that, let you see it. It's no longer jumping about the place. And if we go back into read fault codes, no fault code, that's good. So we'll give it a little run. Just hear it, let you see it'll not stumble anymore. Right, so that's quite smooth. Well, that's far better. So I think that's it. Just an adjustment or an adaptation on the EGR valve has solved the problem. If there's any more, I'll get back to you. So there's where I connected in through the vacuum pipe and teed off. I took up to my vacuum gauge in the car, but as I say, I think it's a bit, the pipe work's maybe a bit too long, but I'll go and change it back out. But there's definitely vacuum on that pipe there. Forgot about my other connection, but I'll put it back on and let you see the figures again. That's that pipe back on. Oh dear, that lengthy tube must have took it well away from it, so must be a leak in my tube. Let's see. Shouldn't have bothered that test. You can see now it's jumped down to 40%, 46%. So, oh, that was a bad test. So, but that's, since I've removed that. So the theory there was I must have had a leak or something wasn't working right in my vacuum tube there, or maybe there wasn't enough vacuum in the reservoir to that lengthy tube, so that's why it was going for 100%, but didn't log a fault code. But that looks a far better graphic now. Not got all that up and down like we had before. Let's see if the acid test as if the fault code's still away. Still away. So what we learned for this one, should always check your equipment. Oh no. Read data stream. General. EGR activation, okay. It's a far more stable graph. Anyway, I think we're good for 500 miles before it blocks again. Know that we want that, definitely no. But if there's any more updating this, I'll give you a shout. Cheers.